Hey gang, Tiger Bill here with another Buddy Rich trick. This one has to do with the way Buddy used to roll. Now we had a lesson a while back where I showed you one of Buddy's rolls, where he came from the top of the drum down this way. And the reason he did that was, number one, well, for showmanship, but also for the sound. You get a smoother sound when you move the drumsticks across the drum like that than when you just stroke it down like this, straight up and down. You can actually hear the strokes more that way. It's not as seamless as a roll. Now this roll is one that I saw Buddy do many times. And actually when I was doing my stint out in LA and I met Eddie Shaughnessy out there, great guy. He was very nice. He took me to the commissary for lunch. He was working on the Johnny Carson show at the time in the Doc Severinsen band. Just a great guy, but conversation came around eventually to Buddy Rich because I knew Eddie knew him, and I was a fan of Buddy's, so I asked him about Buddy. And Eddie shared a technique about Buddy's rolls. And this is a technique I saw Buddy do many times in performance, but I had never known the history behind it before. So Eddie filled me in on that, and that was pretty cool. He said that Buddy showed it to him, told him about it. He used to call it the whipped cream roll, and this is something that Buddy got from the great New Orleans drummers years ago. And what it is instead of coming down from the top like that other lesson that we covered before, this comes in a circular motion from the sides of the drum. And when you practice this, you want to practice one hand at a time at first and drag it from the edge of the drum to the center. And then put it together. And just like we said in the other lesson, if you had caught that one, we never want to roll and then stop and then continue the next roll. We want to do it seamless. We want to overlap the buzzes. That's the way you get it smooth. Overlap the buzzes. Same way when you're doing this, you want to overlap the buzzes. Start one hand before the other hand dies out. Okay, now Buddy wouldn't be Buddy if he didn't take it a step further. So he stole that technique from the New Orleans drummers, but then he modified it. And Buddy used to use this a lot when he was doing an extended solo. So he'd start with his continuous roll, and then what he'd do is he'd accent in rhythm, like this. And so on. So now you've got the basic gist of it. Again, don't just take it exactly the way Buddy did it. You want to modify it, make it your own. You know, copy some stuff is fine. Everybody copies, drummers copy each other. That's the way it goes. But you don't want to imitate somebody exactly. Just, you'll never be an original that way. You want to make it yours. So steal it, that's great. But then put some variations on it and make it your own. Okay, now if I'm doing this for the show thing, like an extended solo kind of thing, then the big, circular motions are fine. But sometimes you might want to just get that better roll sound and just playing like, here in the middle of the drum, like you maybe want to practice the metered rolls, 5-stroke, 7-stroke, 9-stroke rolls that way. Just do this. I vary it like this. Instead of making such a big motion, I just make a small motion, about an inch circle like this. So instead of the sound of this, which is the straight, downstrokes, right? You get this sound. I think it's a better sound that way. You know, it gives you more of that whipped cream roll sound. Well, that's about it for now. Until next time, you have fun, but always, always remember, stay loose.